Look, guys, there is nothing wrong with DIY, but when it comes to health and legal situations, professional services are required to handle the matter properly. Let me explain. For those of you who don't know what DIY is, it's basically do it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being creative. Matter of fact, I'm being creative now by talking to you. But when it comes to certain things like your health, and when it comes to legal situations that require extensive knowledge that we don't have, we have to go to a professional, or else it could result in a disastrous situation. Let me give you a couple examples. I'm going to keep this short, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Now, in regards to health, this basically goes without saying, but I'm going to verbalize it anyway. Pardon the motorcycle that just went by. When it comes to health, we all need to have checkups. That's all that is to it. We may feel what we feel in our bodies, which is understandable, but we can't look inside our bodies. We hadn't received the full medical knowledge that's required to understand completely how all our systems work. So it's required that we go to the doctor and get our checkups to make sure everything is running properly and to address any underlying issues before they become something major. If you are suffering from what is an acute or chronic illness that requires constant maintenance, then you have to do what is necessary in order to make sure your body remains stable. That's all that is to it. Because if you're not feeling well, you're not going to act like you're well. And that's the truth. There's no way around it. Yes, it amazes me that there are some people that are running around actually thinking that there is no connection between the mind and the body. And they don't understand that because their blood pressure is high, that's why they're having trouble sleeping. Because they're under constant stress is the reason why they're so difficult with everybody. They don't get it. So understand, the DIY when it comes to your health is only effective after you've done a full assessment and you have found out exactly what you're dealing with as far as underlying conditions or any type of preventive preventive acts. So, in other words, if you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, oh, well, your iron's a little low. I myself, I'm a borderline anemic. So that means with borderline anemia, what happens is my iron levels fluctuate. Unfortunately, it's something genetic. I got it from my mother who got it from her mother. But it's a condition, not a permanent illness, not anything that's terminal. It's just a condition. So I have to make sure that I eat foods that have extra iron, take supplements that have extra iron. So these are things that I would not have known if I hadn't gone to the doctor many years ago. So these are things, so for my DIY, what I do is I make sure that I take my supplements and I make sure that I have foods throughout the day that are iron fortified to keep my levels up. So that's one case of health. There are some of you right now who have chronic illnesses, and if you don't take your medication or if you don't eat certain foods, that it'll put you in the hospital, unfortunately. But you want to DIY your way out of it, and it's not going to work. It's past that point. It requires additional attention. So, if for any reason that you feel you need to go see a doctor about something or a specialist about something because you're not just quite feeling yourself, go ahead and do it, because what you have is what you have. It's been given to you by your Creator for however long, and there's no sense of shortening this time unnecessarily, especially if you know you have a divine purpose. So go ahead and get yourself checked out. Now, in regards to legal situations, this is a big one. And the first thing I could think of when it comes to DIY is when it comes to wills and estates. Now, I can tell you right now, you can go online and you can actually get a document. You can get a living will document, a will document, an estate document. You can download those yourself, fill out the information, have it notarized, and you can go ahead and file it with your attorney or put it in a vault or whatever. You'd be surprised how many people have assets, valuable assets, like vehicles and cars and land and other real estates and stocks and bonds, and they do not have a will. They do not have anything designated by the time they pass away as to who is going to handle what. They don't. They may have some insurance policies that will take care of the final arrangements, and they have those days. But as far as the rest of their assets, they do not have anything indicated. And it's so easy nowadays to draw up a document. It really is. And of course, if you want to amend it, you're welcome to do so. But it's easy to do it. And the cost of a notary is not expensive, a few dollars at the most. So just make sure that you have some kind of document indicating, and it's not about how much you have. Even if you only have $5 in your bank account, when you pass away, you need to know where that $5 is going to go. Because in some states, if you don't have your will probated, because that's what happens after a person passes away, you as a beneficiary, you basically have to go to the courts and you have to present the will, and they go through what is called probate, where they basically verify and make sure everything is in order so you can go ahead and get what is due to you. If you are not listed anywhere, and if nothing is done as far as where your assets go, excuse me, after a period of time, in some states the state will take over. And for some family members, it's too late. So please make sure that you have copies of your will, not only with your attorney, but also have personal copies. Safe deposit box at your local bank is good. Even a home vault, because they have home fireproof boxes that you could put them in, just somewhere. And make sure you have someone that you trust in the family, or a close friend that you trust, who knows where that information is, because I've seen some things, okay? I've seen some things. Otherwise, nice, quiet, civilized people, the minute that someone passes away, they're acting like a bunch of cavemen. I mean, they're going in. I've heard stories of people going into houses and tearing the walls down looking for documents. I've heard stories of people vandalizing other people's cars, and acts of violence against someone who might possibly have money that was left because they felt it was left to them. I've seen fights. I've seen even people shoot each other over these things. It's just crazy. And all this because a person didn't leave a will designating who gets what. Now, I don't know how your family dynamic is, but me personally, if you have more than one person that you're going to will something to, I suggest that each person gets an individual thing instead of pooling all the resources and asking for a split. And they have something I'm from Georgia. I live in Virginia, but I'm from Georgia, and they have this thing called heirs property. I think heirs property should be put away. I think they should just do away with that idea. And heirs property is the concept where if a mother or a father passes away and all of their assets are supposed to be distributed, they have it what's called heirs property, and they have in the will where they say, oh, pool my assets together and have all of the kids get a piece of, have them work together. They all own it. So let's say, for instance, that grandma had a big, huge house. Grandma's house by current value might be worth $500,000. I'm just putting that out there. And you've got 5 children. Well, you've got a couple of kids don't even live in the area. A couple of them might live in the area. Then you have another one that lives somewhere else. And all of them, they barely have a relationship. This is just an example. Barely have a relationship. But when grandma passes away, you look in the will and come to find out grandma left the house to all 5 people. Now, I'm going to tell you what the problem is with that. Anytime you want to do anything in that house as far as home improvements, if you want to adjust something, add on something, remove something, do an inspection, anything like that, without a designated person to handle that, they're going to require all 5 signatures on anything being done to that house. And that's a problem if you got 2 people that live out in California and you got one person who lives in Japan and the other 2 still live in Georgia. That means the people from California and Japan are going to have to come to Georgia just to sign a piece of paper. That's a headache, people. That's a headache. So when it comes to wills and estates and things like that, just make sure that you have a legal will that is clear-cut, designates everything, and that it's in a location, and the location is disclosed to a member of the family or close friend. So that way when you pass away, it's not all this drama in regards to your assets, so the state won't take it over. Okay? Another case of a legal situation with DIY, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go after this one, because I'm thinking as I go along here. I know I said it was going to be a short one, but, more stuff is coming to me. Another legal case when it comes to DIY is in regards to criminal cases. Now, I know this is going to step on some toes, but the truth is the truth. Some of you need to understand, when you are helping someone who has an outstanding warrant or is being sought out by the authorities and you are helping them, you are aiding and abetting them. You are an accessory to the crime. Understand this. I don't care if it's your son. I don't care if it's your granddaughter. I don't care how they're related to you. If there's an outstanding warrant for their arrest for any crime, if they are in contempt of court, if for any reason the authorities are looking for them and you are helping them evade the authorities, you are an accessory to the crime, and you are going downtown when they catch you, because they're going to catch you. You're going downtown with them and you will be charged accordingly. Understand that. I know that old phrase, blood is thicker than water, but handcuffs are thicker than blood, okay? Do you want to be in handcuffs for something that this relative did? And the thing about it is, they've got you roped into a situation. Unless you were witness to the entire thing from beginning to end, you don't know if that relative, what the situation was, and you don't know if it was preventable. You don't know if it was an aggravated situation. So if the authorities are looking for them, and I know a lot of them say, oh, well, I'm not going to be a snitch. Okay, well, then you're going to be sitting in the jail cell, because there are plenty of them right now. You're going to be sitting in the jail cell doing time for something you didn't do because you didn't want to be a snitch. And when you get out of jail, because accessories aren't going to get as much time as a person who perpetrated the crime, when you do get out of jail, you're going to have to rebuild your life all over again so many years later, and it's going to be harder now because you got a criminal record. Was it worth not snitching? You've just ruined your entire life for something that you didn't do because you didn't feel like snitching, and now you're out and you're wishing you had a snitch because you can't get a job, you can't live in certain neighborhoods, you can't obtain certain things. You got to rebuild your life all over again several years later. You've missed out on all that time. Was it worth it? So this is a situation where DIY does not apply. And I know it's going to hurt you to give that person up, especially if you know that person has had a criminal history of doing the same thing over and over again. Yeah, you need to go downtown with them, but you also need to seek help about that. You're aiding and abetting. So with that being said, I hope that kind of clarifies when or when not DIY. When it comes to your health and legal situations, you do not DIY. What you have to do is you have to seek out professional services. Don't be afraid to do so. These people are specially trained for this to help you. So utilize the services so you can have a better life and sleep better at night. Just saying.